Let's talk about these nines. Jesus Ferreira, Josh Sargent, and surprise, surprise, Haji Wright.
Wow.
I feel like we got a little bit of hint there from Greg Berhalter. It might be forward by committee. Who do you think should be the starter?
Josh Sargent. I've never been shy about saying how talented I think Josh Sargent is. He's the most talented forward. And I kind of feel like Greg tipped his hat when he said, you know, he's a hybrid of the two. Well, that's your most complete forward then, right? So that's who you would likely go with. But I think he was also very, very clear. Certain profiles for certain games. So there's going to be a game where he feels he needs much more of a physical presence. That's not going to be so much as a Jesus Ferreira. That could be a Josh Sargent. There are going to be games where he needs more of a playmaker. Well, that's not going to be Haji Wright. That could be Josh Sargent. So Josh Sargent's in play for all 3 games.
So if you go into the World Cup with like a rotational plan, but then your guy who starts in game 1 scores, like you can't make a change, can you? You can't take a striker that scored in a World Cup.
I would never take a striker that's hot out. I will say this: Greg Berhalter in every World Cup window has kind of gone repeat mode with these
First
strikers.
game is the starter. That person gets the second game.
Yeah.
And then,
now we're back to a 3-game window, right? The World Cup group phase. You could see that again. Who will get it? It's about seeing who the hot hand at camp is. I honestly think it's Josh Sargent right now with his ability. Now, you have to see how he is from that calf injury, how he's still nursing that, or if it's not a factor. But he's the best possible option across the board in physicality, technical ability, vision, defensive work rates, and game IQ.
If we talk about the guys who didn't make it, Pifak and Pepi, who for you is the bigger snub?
Ricardo Pepi.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
really?
Yeah, well, Ricardo Pepi's the guy that saved Greg Berhalter's job, and I've never, I mean, I told you that opening window.
And Greg mentioned that just now. He said, like, for all that he's done for us.
For me.
Yeah.
He should have said for me.
Yeah.
Like, Greg's very gracious to give his time up here, and he answered our questions, but he knows, like.
Well, Greg had to give that opportunity. You know.
Well, and he took advantage of it.
Yeah.
He took advantage of it.
But then he also went 11 months without scoring.
And Greg also advised that move. Greg also advised Osberg over other moves. And when he went, it was with his approval. And when that didn't go well,
but Augsburg is in Pepi's final story.
He also advised him on the next move.
Yeah.
And then he started scoring goals. I mean, you want to talk about Haji Wright scoring goals? Have you seen Ricardo Pepi play? You could say whatever you want about. Now, something tells me that Greg is looking very much at profiles of the players and also the leagues they play in.
That's interesting to me. Like, how do you weigh a goal in Turkey against a goal in Holland against a goal in MLS?
Maybe he doesn't think that Holland or the Eredivisie is as physical, and maybe he thinks his opponents will be more physical.
You know, Greg would know that league.
He definitely has tipped his hand in that, and they definitely gave me that impression.
For me, Pifak being left out is such a head-scratcher, because if I look at everybody on this list, you got an MLS guy, a championship guy, which as good a league as that is, it's still second tier.
Well, it's top 10 league in the world.
Okay, but it's not top 5 like the Bundesliga. You got Haji Wright playing in Turkey.
Fair.
And you got Pepi playing in Holland. So Pifak is, if you go off where he plays, playing at the highest level and having success. He's cooled off a little bit in the last month or so, but to leave Pifak, who's on paper, your highest producing player. Like, the world market is telling us that the best American forward is Pifak.
Yeah.
The world market says that.
I would have to agree with you, especially because if you look across the board, like forwards not going cold or how long they've gone between those cold streaks, Jordan Pifak's been pretty consistent with that rise. Won a goal-scoring title in the Swiss League, was scoring goals in the Champions League, then Europa, whatever you want there. Goes to Union Berlin in the Bundesliga, starts scoring goals. Him and his strike partner are the hottest tandem there. Yeah, he's not scored, since September. There's also a international break in between, so it makes things a little longer. Maybe that plays an impact. How informed can he be? Because we only have a week to start.
Haji Wright, some thoughts there?
You're talking to a guy that had 3 caps and made the World Cup team, that had 0 camps, 0 minutes in the World Cup qualifiers, made the World Cup team, and now you're asking me to give my impression of Haji Wright.
Yeah, you love
Haji Wright. Keep banging those goals in, because that's the only thing you have to defend yourself. And when you're at the World Cup, when Greg Berhalter, like right now, has said...
Greg Berhalter didn't bring Haji Wright not to play him.
No,
He's going to get a chance.
And he said in June they wanted him to dominate, to score a hat trick. Well, that's what you got to do now at the World Cup. I'm not saying dominate and score a hat trick, but you need to prove why you're there.
He's probably not a starter, right? He's your we need a goal late, throw him on guy. Or am I pigeonholing him there?
I wouldn't pigeonhole him.
Really?
But I also think that
You'd be surprised if he started.
No, I think Greg was pretty.
From not playing at all?
Who's your most physical striker right now?
Of this group? Of these three? Right.
Haji Wright.
Yeah.
So if
What
the
game does
profile,
that fit?
I think that'll either Wales or England.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Haji Wright, man, what a story.
Who knows if you see Sargent against England and you see Haji against Wales.
All right. So let's take a look at some of the numbers from the American number 9s over the last couple years. The 3 that would be going to Qatar: Josh Sargent, Jesus Ferreira, and Haji Wright.